Interesting weekend for the Panthers. 1 day extra, right? This was brought up by Dennis earlier in the week. The Panthers have a long week. Long week is a luxury in the NFL. You play on a Sunday, then you play the following Monday. That's an extra day. You play on a Thursday, then you play not the next immediate Sunday, but the one after that. It's a long week. Bye week, that's a long week. You play on Thanksgiving, you get a long week. Long weeks can go one of two ways. It's kind of like a long weekend for us. And it's actually super appropriate that we're here at the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. I remember a time in my life, many of you probably remember a time in your life, where a long weekend meant another night to go out with the friends.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Meant another night to stay out till 2 a.m., another night to not worry about sleeping in the next day. You didn't have any responsibilities, right? That's what a long weekend used to mean. You know what a long weekend means to me now? I get excited. I'm going to get so much done in the yard.
Right?
It's like, you know what? Oh, man, that chore list is going to get checked off so aggressively, right? We're here at the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. It's like, I haven't gotten to the Aluminum Company of North Carolina to get those gutter helmets. I'm going to clear I'm going to clean all my gutters this weekend because I have the extra day off, right? It ends up turning into a work day of just a different kind.
Yeah.
When you hit a certain point. If you don't have like a trip planned or people coming to town or whatever, it's like, you know what, that extra day, I'm gonna organize the garage. How about it? The Panthers are doing yard work, right? They're not getting the extra day and going, oh, I'm gonna relax, right? There's some, especially veteran teams that are kind of established. If they play on Sunday and they don't play till Monday Night Football the next week, coach might say, you know what, don't come in till Wednesday. Right? Tuesday off. Enjoy time with your family. And everybody cheers and everybody goes crazy. And it's like, yeah, way to go, right? That's the equivalent of, right, a long week. Labor Day weekend means an extra day at the beach and I'm going to be drinking Mai Tais. The Panthers don't get to do that, right?
No.
The Panthers, they get a long week. They don't play till Monday. They're doing something to get better, right? They're checking off something off the chore list and hopefully a bunch of things off the chore list.
It's a long list.
It is. And you have to prioritize, right? Just like somebody doing stuff around the house, right? You might have to clean the gutters, you might have to mow the lawn, you might have to get rid of that wasp nest that you saw in the back. You might have to paint the something chipped in the bathroom and you got to go paint over it. Like there might be a million things on your list and you got to prioritize it, start with the first and move on, right? So for the Panthers, an extra day off comes with a long list of chores. I have a few things. But first, Bryce Young needs to be in the film room. That's less team, more Bryce. Here's Bryce Young on what he learned after watching the Week 1 tape.
Yeah, we've obviously we've turned the page, and it's been just about how we can be constructive from it. We've obviously we've turned the page, and it's been just about how we can be constructive from it. There's good stuff on film that we have to continue to do, and then there's stuff that obviously we have to learn from. I had to learn from, and we're in the process of getting it cleaned up. So I think it's again we're playing New Orleans, so obviously all our attention, we need all of our attention to be able to do what we want to do, and it takes us being locked and engaged on that. So you got to push what happened on Sunday aside, and it's been all about growing and getting ready for Monday.
Chicka chicka what? Little remix there at the beginning of the clip.
Yeah.
Bryce Young is right. It's always tough. There's that line you have to flirt with between like flushing the previous week's performance and also like we're aware that's the only tape you have of regular season football and you're probably still watching it in meetings right now, so it's like you're not completely moved on from it. You're watching it quite a bit, but I'm confident in Bryce Young's ability to do that, right? You don't end up the number 1 overall pick without, especially at Alabama, playing for a coach like Nick Saban, without completely and totally understanding that, failures. Actually, one of my favorite quotes, and Nick Saban and I do not agree on much, right? A lot of times I'm critical of what he says to the media. On his radio show this week, right, because Alabama just lost to Texas, he said, you don't ever want to waste a failing. And I really, really like that, and I really, really identified with it because it goes along with what I always say, which is it's easier to coach after a loss. You don't want to waste the attention that comes with a bad performance, right? You don't want to, as a coach, as a leader, you don't want to waste the focus that your players have after a loss when they're so desperate to not feel that way again, right? Every coach at some point in time after a hard fought, heartbreaking loss has said, I wish I could bottle up this feeling and let you feel it, in the middle of the off season.
Yeah.
Because you would work so hard to never feel like this. But the fact of the matter is you can't bottle up that feeling after a loss. So you just can't waste it, right? When you do taste it, when you do feel it, when you do have that motivation, you need to take advantage of it. So there's no doubt in my mind after playing for Nick Saban, who just used that quote, that Bryce Young understands he doesn't want to waste the feeling of 2 interceptions. He doesn't want to waste the feeling of losing your pro debut. He doesn't want to waste the feeling of not living up to the hype, and he'll be in there. Now let's get to the rest of the chore list for the Carolina Panthers on their long week. One, this is like the first thing you have to do. This is the thing that the HOA has already warned you about. If you don't fix it, they're going to start levying fines. Get the offensive line up to speed as much as possible, including answering this question: who is going to play the other guard spot opposite of Chandler Zavala, whichever opposite that is, whether it's right or left, flip them. Where's Chandler Zavala going to be playing, and who's going to be on the opposite side, and get them ready to play as much as you can. That's number one. You get an extra day. That extra day, that Sunday that you normally don't have because you're playing on Sunday, I hope the entire thing is spent with the interior of the offensive line, learning and discussing and talking and watching film and saying, all right, how are you going to call this one? What's your check going to be on this one? How do we want to block this pressure? How do we want to block that pressure?
Something to keep in mind real quick, offensive line, Taylor Moton, right tackle, limited in practice the last couple of days.
Even more so,
yep.
Right? And whoever might step in at right tackle, have him in the meetings too. Have Moton there in the meetings because Moton is team captain. If you watched any of the Camp Confidential stuff, he's going up and during team meetings, just kind of running the team kind of in that at the end of training camp, there's this tried and true NFL thing where the staff members, right, trainers, people that serve food, people that clean up, like the staff, the players all kick in tips at the end of training camp.
Yeah.
And then they divide it up amongst all the staff members to thank them for their work, helping them and all those sorts of things. Taylor Moton was the guy that went up to the podium and said, hey, we're collecting for the tips. Here's how you can give. You want to take it out of your check, just go sign a number here, sign. Like Moton is a team leader of that kind of stuff. So have him help, right?
Yeah.
If he's hurt, that's fine. Can you watch film with whatever injury you're dealing with? Whatever's made you limited. Does that stop you from sitting in a chair and holding a clicker? All right, then get in there and help teach these young guys. The offensive line, priority number one. Priority number two, this comes from their offensive coordinator, Thomas. This comes from Bryce. This comes from Reich. This comes from, best idea in the house wins. Draw up some explosives.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if it's a trick play. I don't care if it's a double move. I don't care if it's play action. I don't care if it's the old throwback or you roll all the way to the left, throw back to the right. They need a play to ignite the offense.
Yes.
And you want to have a whole bunch of options to go to, right? When you look at the Denny's menus, right? The play sheets, the laminated play sheets that the coaches use. There is traditionally a section, maybe even a column, half a column that is explosives, right?
Mm-hmm.
Take a shot plays.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you're looking for them on 2nd and 2 when you're like, hey, if we don't get it, we still have 3rd down to pick up the 2 yards. Let's take a shot downfield. Let's try something big. Or even fresh off a turnover. Defense gets the ball. They pick it off. They force a fumble and recover it. There's a muffed punt, right? You're running out there. The defense's head is swiveling a little bit because they weren't ready to go out there. How do you take advantage of it with misdirection and a deep ball? How do you take advantage of it with something tricky? You need those plays, right? You need those plays. It's the equivalent of the baseball cliche. Somebody makes a great play in the field. Why are they always the next one up, right? If you make a great play for the 3rd out in the field, you make a diving catch, you rob a home run. Why is that person always the leadoff hitter in the bottom half of the inning?
Mm-hmm.
It just works out that way, right? Then they hit a 2-run shot with nobody on base, right? It's like everything just kind of gets rolling. That's what momentum feels like. If your defense gets a turnover, you need those explosives ready, right? You don't not the play you have to run twice to set up, right? You need those explosives ready. That extra day, that's what I want the minds worried about. And then defensively, you have to get ready to replace JC Horn.
Yeah, big time.
I hope this is paint by numbers. I hope you already have the steps in order, because everybody in the world knew that one of the concerns for the Panthers secondary was the corner's health. Dante Jackson, JC Horn. In the preseason, Dante Jackson was dealing with an injury. Game 1, JC Horn's dealing with an injury.
Mm-hmm.
If you're surprised by this, you were unprepared for the season.
We told you about it.
So exactly. Like, go back, listen. But I'm not even acting like we were geniuses on that.
No.
Like, everybody should have been able to tell that.
Mm-hmm.
There are times I will say, like, haha, told you so. This one I'm kind of like, yeah, everybody knew. So I hope they have like their emergency, like have a plan for a fire. We're going to run down the street and meet at this stop sign once everybody gets out.
Yeah.
Like, I hope they have their emergency plan.